And now that it's raining more steadily, that's going to cut down our tornado threat for Richmond, which is great news. I wouldn't be at all surprised if over the next couple of hours, even though that watch goes into effect until 8 p.m., they may end up canceling part of that watch a little bit earlier. As for Richmond, I think the tornado threat is decreasing now that it's starting to rain a little bit heavier. Down towards Southside Virginia, again, Brunswick, Greensville County, that's where you have a tornado warning, which means there may be a tornado that could touch down at any time down toward the far southern part of our viewing area. Places like Emporia, you're not in the warning at the moment, but just to your south and west, if you're watching from southern parts of Brunswick County near Lake Gaston, that's where we have concern. There could be a brief tornado touchdown. Let's look at the winds within that storm. I'm going to zoom back in a little bit closer with what's happening down towards southern parts of Brunswick County and also for western parts of Greensville County. Right along Route 46, that's where you need to be in your safe place. Powelton, a good idea to be inside that interior room, a hallway, a closet, someplace where you have as many walls between yourself and the outside to protect yourself as you can. When we looked at the winds a little bit earlier, I was talking about the winds not overly impressive with this storm, that twisting of winds, the potential rotation. I'm trying to pull it up for you here. 19 miles per hour, so that's not terribly strong. If I continue to look within the storm, we may find winds that are a little bit stronger than that. But usually when we talk about tornadoes or potentially tornadoes that could touch down, we're talking about winds greater than 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. So when I see 15, 20 pop up on here, that's not overly impressive. When you go over to the other look at the winds, there's a couple different ways you can look at the winds. You see those brighter shadings of blue or darker greens that are showing up. That's a little bit stronger winds. So that's probably why they've continued this tornado warning until 4:45. Again, if you're right along Route 46, just to the south of Powelton or even in the Powelton area, you're in that tornado warning. So you really want to be in your safe place as this storm continues to lift off to the north and east. Because even if there's not a tornado that touched down here, there could be some strong wind gusts with this storm as it continues to lift off to the north and east. Straight line winds can sometimes be just as strong as a tornado. And for that reason, we still want you to be safe, be indoors, be in an interior room. I'm going to walk back over and look at what's happening with the new text updates that we're getting from the National Weather Service. See if they've decided to continue this tornado warning any farther, any longer. It looks like they have. So they're continuing this tornado warning for Brunswick County and Greensville County until 4:45. We have another 15 minutes to go. As I talked about earlier, these storms can sometimes weaken and then pick back up in intensity, which is the concern. You may see the winds not all that strong on first alert Doppler radar, but they could always pick back up again if this storm starts to get a little more warm air wrapping into it. It could start to get a little bit stronger. We call that a cycling supercell or a cycling severe thunderstorm. And that may be what's happening here. That may be why the Weather Service has kept this tornado warning in effect. So we still want you to be safe. We want you to be on the lowest floor of a building. The best place to be is a basement if you have one, but I know a lot of homes, especially near Lake Gaston, are probably not having a basement. So the best place to be is a closet, a hallway, a bathroom, anywhere where you have many walls between yourself and the outside. Let's take another look at where this storm is going. I'm going to draw a track on the radar to show you where that worst part of the winds is going to continue to lift off to the north and east, up toward just to the west of Emporia. Again, just a little bit farther off the map there. These times could be a little bit off. Royland School around 5 o'clock, Emporia a little bit closer to 5:30, but it wouldn't surprise me if this storm's moving a little bit faster than some of these times you see on your screen there. So let's take another look at what's happening across the entire 12 on your side viewing area. Again, when you look at the wider picture of radar, we have two alerts right now. We have a tornado warning in that red polygon across Southside Virginia down toward Greensville County and Brunswick County. And then we also have a flash flood warning that's in effect for this area that's shaded in green across western Henrico and out toward the Ashland area, Hanover County. All of those locations have the concern for some localized flooding. When you go back over to the radar, you can see kind of a big band of rain that is stretching from Richmond right down I-95. And then the southern part of that, that's where you have the tornado warning that's in effect until 4:45. That's why we did this continuous coverage, and we're going to be on here for the next 10 minutes or so to keep you updated if we have any new alerts that come in here as that storm continues to lift off to the north and east. So again, heavy rain, that's the primary concern for Richmond. I think the tornado threat's dropping now for RVA, so we'll probably see that watch, which means there's the potential for tornadoes trimmed back a little bit earlier for much of central Virginia. The concern for a brief tornado is really focused to our south and east. That's exactly what we expected today. We never really thought there was much of a risk from Richmond points north and west. It was really south and east of Richmond that we had more of a concern for potentially a brief tornado. So again, Wakefield, Sussex County, Greensville County, that's where this storm may try to re-intensify as it moves off to the north and east. We have that tornado warning until 4:45 for Brunswick and Greensville counties. So those locations, still another 10 minutes where you want to be in your safe place. But farther off to the north, this is more of a heavy rain concern for Chesterfield right into the city of Richmond. I'm going to zoom back into Metro Richmond here and show you what's happening locally across the RVA area. Again, we have that flash flood warning in that green outline box just a little bit farther off to the north and east or rather north and west of Richmond, out towards Short Pump, the Laurel neighborhood, and then stretching up into Hanover County. Some heavy rain, rainfall rates potentially on the order of 1 to 1.5 inches an hour. So you get rain over the course of an hour, you can pretty quickly get some street flooding out there, and there's going to be that concern for some localized flooding just to the north and west of Richmond, out toward I-64, Route 157, up toward Route 54 in Hanover County. All of those locations, just use caution. If you see water covering the road, you want to turn around, never drive your car across those areas. Even heavy rain now stretching into parts of the north side of Richmond, out toward eastern parts of Hanover County. We have that first alert weather day for heavy rain, strong wind gusts that likely pick up a little bit more as we head into the evening hours tonight, and also that isolated tornado threat, especially towards southern parts of our viewing area, down toward Brunswick and Greensville counties. I'm going to take a look again at what's happening with this warning, see if we have any new updates that are coming along here. Haven't seen anything yet. Really, the concern for Richmond, again, is heavy rain, not so much tornadoes at this point, even though we are in that tornado watch for a few more hours until 8 o'clock. A watch just means there's the possibility for a tornado to touch down. A warning is when it's time to take action, which is what we have for southern parts of our viewing area. We'll take a wider look at the radar again to show you what's happening down towards Southside Virginia. That red polygon that you see on your screen down toward Brunswick County, Greensville County, that's where we have the concern potentially for a brief tornado touchdown. So let's zoom back in a little bit closer there and show you what's happening down towards Southside Virginia. This warning was issued about 30 minutes ago, and it's continuing for the next 10 minutes until 4:45. There's a little bit of lightning showing up on the radar, but not a lot of lightning because the storms are not all that tall into the sky today. In fact, the tops of these thunderstorms are only going up about 20 to 25,000 feet, which is really not that impressive. 26,000 feet now on some of those stronger storms within Brunswick County. Usually when we're talking about severe thunderstorms, they go up about 40,000 feet. So these storms today are low topped, therefore they're not really tapping into the cold air high up in the sky, and we're not really seeing a lot of lightning. There's not really any hail concern with this storm either, because of the fact that we don't really have a lot of cold air higher up in the sky today. It's really more of a moist, warm, humid air mass that's getting pulled into the north, which is pretty uncommon for December. It's not often that we talk about tornadoes this time of the year, but we gave you that first alert over the last several days. We called it a first alert weather day to help you plan ahead and just be weather aware. Be aware of what's happening with the weather on a day like today, because you can get these brief tornadoes that spin up on days where you have warm, moist atmosphere. The clouds are low in the sky. That means it's a little bit easier for those tornadoes to potentially touch down. Let's look at the winds within the storm. Not really a well-defined what we call couplet. We're not really looking at reds and greens close together. Even if I go back over to the other look at the radar, there's some red here and some green, but notice how there's a space in between. We're not really seeing the reds and the greens brightly coupled close together. So I think the tornado threat is really decreasing with this storm. We may be able to let you go a little bit early here, as this warning may be expired at 4:45. In fact, I think that's what's going to happen. But let's take a look at what's happening. I'm going to walk back over to the other computer and see what the National Weather Service is saying, if they said anything about this warning across parts of Southside Virginia. Again, that tornado warning was in effect until 4:45, still is for the next 7 minutes until 4:45, but the radar presentation is not really impressive here, just as the storm moves off to the north and east of Route 46. That being said, there could be some strong wind gusts, but the tornado threat is not all that impressive looking across Brunswick County now, pushing toward the Totaro area, Greensville County, those locations. This is not looking too much like a tornado at this point. So we'll probably be able to get you back to your regularly scheduled programming here pretty shortly as soon as we get confirmation that this warning will in fact expire at 4:45. For Richmond, the concern is going to be those heavy rains that are going to come down here for not just the next hour, but the next couple of hours. We have a flash flood warning that's in effect for Henrico. In fact, that's what I'm going to go back and look at right now. I'm going to zoom the picture out a little bit more, back to a wider look at all of central Virginia and look at the radar. Heavy rain, where you see those yellows, those oranges showing up, that's the concern for rainfall rates on the order of 1 to 1.5 inches per hour. So again, these storms continuing to come down across the area. Thankfully, with rain now in Richmond, that's going to cool the air, and rain-cooled air tends to not produce any tornadoes. So I think the tornado threat for Richmond is on the way down as we head through the next couple of hours. I wouldn't be surprised if that watch that's in effect until 8 o'clock tonight does get canceled a little bit early because of the fact that we have the rain coming down, temperatures are going to get cooler, and we're not overly concerned about any tornadoes at this point from Richmond points north. Down towards south side of Virginia, you never know with these storms. They could re-intensify as they get back into some warmer air off to the south and east of Richmond, but we're not overly concerned about a significant severe weather event today. I think the threat's going to shift more to rain, maybe even a few snowflakes early tomorrow morning. Although we're not expecting any snowfall accumulation, many of us may see our first flakes flying of the year as we get outside early on Monday morning. Really right around sunrise tomorrow is when some of this may start to change over to a little bit of wet snow. Again, it's not going to stick much. There could be maybe a dusting on the grass, especially out toward Louisa County. We'll talk more about that coming up on 12 on your side at 6 o'clock in about an hour and 15 minutes. So tune back in then. We will talk more about the heavy rain that we're expecting. Again, we do have a flash flood warning already for the western part of Henrico and parts of Hanover County. That flash flood warning in effect until 7:30. So for the next 3 hours or so, you really need to take it slow outside, maybe even beyond that, because even after 7:30 tonight, we'll still have heavy rain coming down across the area as this whole storm system continues to intensify and lift off to the north and east. Widespread power outages are probably not expected. The winds will get a little bit stronger this evening, but probably not strong enough to knock out the power. So that's good news. A lot of you will keep your lights on as we head through the evening hours, getting closer to Sunday night football tonight. The rain is going to be picking up in intensity, though. So heavy rain, winds getting a little bit stronger. A few people may lose power, although it's not expected to be widespread. And that tornado threat that we are covering here across Southside Virginia is expected to continue to decrease as we head through the evening hours. That watch officially ends at 8 p.m., but they usually trim those watches back a little bit earlier as soon as we get confirmation that the threat is dropping. So we'll be sure to keep you updated. You can watch that crawl on the bottom of your screen, and also you can tune in on 12 on your side at 6 o'clock. We will be keeping you updated as these storms continue to lift off to the north and east. Again, flash flood warning until 7:30 tonight for Hanover and Henrico counties. That tornado warning that was in effect for Brunswick and Greensville counties is going to expire. So I'm going to let you go now back to regularly scheduled programming. Just use some caution out there on the roads. Stay home if you can, or better yet, or just drive slowly out there as we head through the evening. That does it for our coverage of this tornado warning and flash flood warning. We'll send you back to your regularly scheduled programming right now.